Hello and welcome to Season of War. We're back today with another Age of Sigmar matchup. Zach, you're back on the channel.
Yeah. Decided to do the full round and get every single allegiance in. So now I've done Chaos, Destruction, actually except for Death, but now I got Order in.
Yep, so another appearance, another new army.
Yep. Working hard to get them done on the channel. Luckily, your motivation to get on the channel, since there's not really tourneys anymore, gives me the motivation to paint. So
awesome. Well, glad we can help with that. But with your Fyreslayers coming on the channel for the first time, our premium members did vote for the matchup, and they chose Lumineth. This is the first game we've played since Broken Realms tech list has been released. Now, we haven't had the new model range come in yet, so super excited for that. But for today's game, I'll be using one of my old high elf models as the Lore Seeker and then the Lord Regent. But otherwise, this is actually my first game using pretty much almost exclusively all the new Lumineth models from the new range, and obviously super excited to get them on the table.
Look great.
Thank you. Lots of work left to do painting wise. Basically, I'm just like getting base colors on everything. So lots of detail work that I still want to do to this army, but we're getting there. And I do actually want to give a quick shout out to another content creator who actually really inspired me to go with kind of a grittier scheme for my Lumineth, and that's Gravehammer. Check him out on YouTube and Instagram, Twitter. You can find him everywhere. He does amazing work in tutorials and that. And like I said, yeah, he really inspired me to kind of take a darker tone with my Lumineth, and I'm definitely loving it. Can't wait to get this army all finished up. So shout out to Gravehammer. Thanks for being an awesome artist and continually providing inspiration. But again, until a lot of the new Lumineth models arrive and I get them built and painted up, this is mostly going to be some of the classic stuff. But obviously, we're seeing two new heroes as well as the new spell lore, which is going to be really impactful with tech lists, hopefully, in this match right off the top. But we'll obviously see that and see more of the new stuff as it comes. Obviously, heading up X Planet, trying to take all the stock that they're getting in for Lumineth, so you can get all that stuff on the channel. So shout out to X Planet, always helping us get the new models on the table as fast as possible. So excited for that. But looking at this mission, Zach, we're playing the Core Rulebook mission, Blood and Glory. So 4 objectives, pretty spread out, but you have to control all 4 to get the major win. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a spicy one. You do have deep striking here.
Yes.
And I'm not running a ton of shooting, just so this would be a somewhat balanced matchup, so it's not just kill all the heroes before you can do anything. But otherwise, again, round 3 onwards, we can get the major win. If neither of us do by the end of the game, it's who holds more of these objectives. So if you have 3-1, then you get the win. Otherwise, I think it just comes down to kill points.
Yeah.
So we'll see how things go throughout the game. Otherwise, this is the realm of Ghyran, so not the most impactful. Healing scenery, though. And then the spell is Shield of Thorns, which D3 mortal wounds when you charge a unit that has that spell on them. And you can spend a command ability to cast that spell again. Not the most impactful realm, but it's good actually for me wanting to be defensive and make you charge. So we'll see if I can make any use of that. And then taking a look at our lists today, obviously I'm running Lumineth Realmlords. I'm sticking with the subfaction of Syar here. And for units, I have 2 units of 20 Wardens, 2 units of 10 Sentinels. And then for heroes, I have Teclis, Cathalar, I have the Lord Regent, who is my general. He has the Goading Arrogance command trait and the Perfect Blade weapon. So pretty standard there. And then I have a Lore Seeker who, using their ability, I've deployed off the board for now. And just running things out with a couple endless spells. I have the Sanctum endless spell, which obviously is potentially to pair well with the Lore Seeker, kind of sitting off on his own. And then I have the Hishyan Twinstones, the ever consistent +2 to cast.
Yep, pretty good endless spell for sure.
Yeah.
For my list, I'm obviously bringing Fyreslayers here. I decided to go with the Vostarg Lodge. Trying to mix up a little bit from Hermdar, which I played before. I don't have a whole bunch of experience with this army, so I'm still trying a few things out here and there and seeing viable strategies. So I decided to go with a different lodge. I have 3 blocks of 20 Hearthguard, everyone's favorite melee unit. And then I have 5 heroes. I have a Rune Master, I have a Battlesmith, I have 2 Rune Smiters, and a Rune Father.
Yeah.
And that rounds out my list.
So you have a bunch of the guys off the board, ready to deep strike right now.
Yes. I'm going to see if the plan turns out. I need to make a charge roll, which I'm famously not very good at doing, but we'll see how it goes, and hopefully it generally goes how it's planned.
Yeah, so we'll see. But before we get into it, we did pick auxiliary objectives today, and the two I chose were Pillage, which is to be next to a terrain feature wholly within your territory at the end of any battle round. So the one I am going to choose is going to be that one back there in the center.
Nice.
And then the second one I chose was Assassinate. So you have to choose one of the heroes on the board, and I have to kill them by the end of the game, which it's a pretty good one in this situation.
Yeah, it is pretty solid. I think I will choose my Rune Master here.
Okay, sounds good.
For my auxiliaries, I chose Seize Ground.
Okay.
So kind of similar to
Yeah.
what Pillage is, but so I'm going to choose that terrain piece. So I have to
Okay,
choose one
this
outside of my territory. Oh, no, sorry, the middle one that Teclis is on, so
Okay.
kind of similar to you.
Perfect.
So that I need to be, well, I think it's within 3 at the end of the 4th battle round.
Yeah.
And then my last one's Territorial, which is hold an objective for 2
2 rounds.
Yeah, which I think, especially with my army, I'm going to be able to do. And I'm going to choose
That one.
over
All right, sounds good. And then I think the last thing for us to do before we decide, now you are going to have choice of the turn here.
Yeah.
But I get to deploy my Lore Seeker, and he deploys anywhere outside of 3 inches. So I'm just going to place him real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, so deploying my Lore Seeker, I put him right at the back of the board, center within 3 inches of that terrain piece, so unless you come kill him, I'm going to store that round 1. But so Lore Seeker is deployed over there, and pretty much just ready to jump into it now. You are going to have choice here. How do you want the game to start?
Once again, as part of my new strategy to see if it works, I'm going to take first. I'm
Okay,
gonna see how
sounds
that
good.
goes.
Yep, so we will jump into Fyreslayers turn 1.
Yep, let's do it.
All right.
So, turn 1 Fyreslayers, it actually went really well right out of the gate, because for my rune, I chose the movement rune,
Yep.
which gives me +2 to move, and then if I roll a 6 on a d6, then I get +2 to charge,
Yep.
and so I rolled that and got it.
Yep. So you got the 6.
So I got the 6, which gave me +2 to charge, which
Yep.
was extremely helpful, especially because when I came down over there, I ended up rolling a 6, which would have failed.
Yeah. If
Even
not
if-
for that +2.
If not for that +2, so then I would have had to re-roll it, and then, well, my luck with charges.
Yeah.
So one in there, one to the Sentinels. I was actually expecting to plow through the Sentinels and then hit the Wardens, but you gave them +2 to save.
Yeah, so I did the +2 to save from Aether Courts, and then I had been less points than you, so before we started, or during deployment, I had rolled the Triumph, and I had reroll saves, so I knew that would give me a good chance to I mean, I knew the Sentinels were going to die, but at least blunted you from getting into the Wardens.
Exactly. So I did 0 damage into the Wardens, which I was actually expecting to wipe the Sentinels and like probably take out a half-ish of the Wardens, depending on rolls, obviously.
Yeah.
But no, that ended up not happening. I wiped out the Sentinels, which I'm still happy about,
Yeah.
because they're obviously very dangerous for sniping out my heroes. But yeah, you held pretty well there. And then these guys just ran back, got a prayer on them to run and charge, and then smoked your little hero that tried to,
Yeah.
to sneak
Yeah.
in behind me there.
He did his job baiting you into taking first turn, so...
Yep, exactly. So, yep, overall good turn. I can't complain.
Yeah.
Worked relatively well, and I'm happy where I'm at right now, but I'm very interested to see in your retaliation and the potential.
Yeah, it'll definitely be an interesting turn. So many options and decisions to make, but we'll see what happens when we get into it. Lumineth turn 1.
Yes, sir.
All right, so Lumineth turn 1. Lots of magic casting, as is typical. Just spreading out a little bit with my army. Put the 20 Warden block over here, ready to charge in. Move this block over here, so I don't, have 2 independent forces right now, which isn't necessarily, where Lumineth wants to be. But Teclis got Speed of Hish on himself from the Lord Regent, and sped over here on the mission to take out your general, which he did.
Yes.
Which means your Hearthguard won't be able to pile in and attack twice.
Yeah.
Unless you get one of the other heroes from the battalion nearby.
Basically impossible.
Basically impossible. And I did get the Darkness of the Soul off with the Cathlar onto the Hearthguard, so I had to roll over the Bravery, and they were not able to attack in this case, in conjunction with -1 from the Aether Courts and -2 from Teclis casting the -2 Bravery, Voice of the Mountain spell. So that effectively locked that unit down, which is exactly what I want. But again, having to roll over a 6, there's a chance that they'll be able to attack in the future. Otherwise, I didn't do any teleporting. I could have potentially over there, but going for the objectives until turn 3 really doesn't mean anything. And really, it doesn't even mean anything until I turn 5, unless you can take both of them.
Yeah.
So throwing myself there at risk of getting smacked around, isn't really worth it. I did shoot my sentinels at your hero over there, who took him down to 1 wound.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good, pretty fortunate, and another volley of shots should be able to take him out.
Yes, for sure.
But we'll jump into priority first.
Yes, sir.
1.
1, 3.
All right, so it's all yours.
Yep, I'm gonna give it to you.
You're gonna give it to me? All right, yeah, makes sense. Otherwise, you still have all the minuses and whatnot. You still potentially are getting locked down. And I think you're kind of counting these guys as lost. It seems like.
Yeah. I completely forgot about the Cathlar spell when I went on that side. I think this is.
It's preventing me getting a double later, right? Because you're not going to claw out of this over here.
No.
These units are lost, so better give me the double now rather than in a chance when I can get it later. So very smart play in terms of giving away the turn. Again, priority mechanic, a lot of depth to it.
Exactly.
We love it. But with that, we'll jump into Lumineth turn 2.
Sounds good.
All right, so Lumineth turn 2. As we said before the turn, you gave me priority here because this was pretty much a foregone conclusion over here. Now I did kind of double down on it on doing like the minus bravery and darkness of the soul again, just in case, just to make sure that I wasn't really taking casualties back. But pretty cleanly killed all those things. I got the heroes in magic through a number of different spells. It took me 3 to get the 1 down, but I just wanted to finish him off so I could put my shooting and then pile in to the Hearthguard, which obviously with both activations between these 2 units got to take them out, and Darkness of the Soul never came up, but it was there in case. Otherwise, over here, moved up my Sentinels so that they could all get the shorter range shot into your hero, but had no problem taking them out. I double casted the Lord Regent, which let me cast Hishing Twinstones over here to help with all their casting. Also let me use his second spell for his own Greater Power of Hish, which I got the spell off and then got D3 I got 3 for my D3 in terms of number of units. So we got to buff all 3 of these units with Power of Hish, which freed up the Wardens to cast Ethereal Blessing on these Sentinels that are out in front, as well as the Sentinels casting Speed of Hish on themselves. So good utility we're seeing out of that Lord Regent in terms of getting to use his spell, and at least when he rolls the 3, it's really helpful.
Yeah.
Or even still, he just gets to cast it on a different unit, so he could have just put it on them. They get to cast Speed of Hish anyways. So it at least frees up 1 unit, because here I'm not worried about on himself anyways. Otherwise, that's pretty much it for the turn. Again, I'm sitting back right now. You only have 1 hero left, so I'm trying to obviously deal with them. It allows me to take you out a lot easier if I can force the battle shocks, right?
Yeah.
It's the best way, 2 wounds. Now, these guys not having the hero went down a little quicker because you didn't have the 4-up ward, but obviously kill the heroes.
Kill the heroes. That's what you gotta do.
Yeah, so that's it for my turn. Again, no scoring here because of the mission. And that was top of the round, so we will go into bottom of round 2 with Fyreslayers' turn coming up.
Yes, sir. All right, so as you can probably see, it wasn't a very eventful turn for me, just because I was so far away, and Fyreslayers moves really restrict how far you can go after you've used the Deep Strike in the movement rune. So I just started moving up, getting these guys obviously closer to the objective, because there's absolutely no point for them to be down there besides to kill that 1 hero, and then just moved these guys up to start trying to pressure that objective. So pretty quick turn, like no really hero phase stuff, nothing like that. So. Nothing too
Being
exciting.
aggressive though, not just sitting back on your objectives. It looks like you're gonna try and push.
Yeah. I'm a destruction player at heart. So sitting back and doing absolutely nothing and waiting for people to attack me is not my style.
Yeah.
Pushing up, and I also think it's one of my only chances. If I were to hold back here if I just stayed,
I can you would sit and pepper you.
Yeah, you would just start smoking me with magic of various sorts and shooting me along, right? So.
But with a double turn here, you could get in, even take out Tactless potentially.
That's the dream, if possible. So yeah, we'll see how it goes for sure. It will depend on this priority roll. This will be the second time in a row I depend on a clutch priority roll. So let's see. So
That's
5, 2.
It's all yours.
Yeah. So I will definitely take it here and see what I can do on my turn.
Perfect. Going into round 3 with Fyreslayers going first.
Okay, so this turn went a lot better for me than all my other turns for sure. Moved these guys up as planned, luckily because of the double turn.
Yep.
Then was able to get a decent charge off. I think it ended up being
10.
A 9 and then +1
Yep.
to get it up to 10. And then that was enough to wipe out Techless, luckily. And then also got the charge off over here. I think I need like a 6 or a 7, and I got an 8 there, and then piled in and wiped out those Sentinels. So definitely a lot better for me. I was really worried before that. Like, if I did not get that double, I think I was in a pretty tough place for sure. And I think it is still a very even match right now. As
You brought it a lot more even than if you had have lost priority.
Yes.
Like you were saying, it was a dire one before.
Yes, so it was pretty spooky for sure. So yeah, I'm glad that I was able to get the charges that I needed. Look, I guess it's just my like destruction and chaos charges that don't work, but it seems like with order, it's pretty good track record so far. Yeah, apparently. So good turn for me, and happy to get those charges off.
Yes, sir. And obviously taking out the Sentinels, they were ethereal, but you got like 5 or 6 hits through and 2 damage to take them all out. And yeah, taking Techless off the board is obviously a huge piece gone. So we will now be going, though, into bottom of round 3 and Lumineth turn 3.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, so bottom of round 3 for Lumineth. Not having Techless just makes my casting a little less reliable, but thankfully I still had Hishing Twinstones over here. And the side without the benefit failed all the casting in terms of didn't get Power of Hish off. And then I tried to do a Mystic Shield just for defensive buff on them after that. And that not getting the Power of Hish off really kind of defined how I was going to play this turn. I had the potential to throw both units into combat of Wardens, attack with both of them at the start of the turn, and then have the opportunity to battle shock both of them significantly. So there was a good chance that that would have been a good play for me there, but not getting Power of Hish off meant that it was not worthwhile. Whereas over here, I did get the greater power of Hish off again, so got power of Hish on both of those units, which freed up the Wardens to cast Ethereal on themselves.
Yep.
On your Ren 2 turn, that's
Yes,
huge,
yes.
right? So
I think it definitely helped him out for sure.
yeah. And then also he went in and did, because I didn't send that unit in, both these combats went first. I killed, I think, 13 guys.
Yeah, 12 or 13.
Yeah, and then the last couple battle shocked off. And I did, with my pile-in, get one body on your objective, which means I do take these two. I still hold this one and have all 20 of my models on there, so you'll need to out-battle me for this one. But really, I am actually set up to potentially run with Speed of Hish, my Lord Regent, across the board onto your back objective if I win priority here.
Yes.
So I have 3 objectives right now, but you need the 4th to get the major win.
Yes.
So let's jump into priority and then we can see what happens.
Yes, sir. A 5.
A 2.
All right.
So you keep it. So the game is not over and we will be jumping in. I assume you're taking the turn here.
Yes. Yeah, I'll be taking it.
So we'll be jumping into top of round 4 with Fyreslayers going first.
Yep. Okay, so for my turn, kind of what you would have expected me to happen, I charged in there to go wipe out those Wardens, wiped out all but 2, and then Jordan reflected 18 battle shock losses on me and ignored them himself. And so I lost a whole bunch of dudes there. Luckily rolled a 1 on my battle shock kind of in return, which balanced it out a little bit. And then I ran my Battlesmith back there just to hold that objective like Jordan was mentioning before. He has the range to run him on to that point. So I want to avoid that potentiality if possible.
Yeah, trying to hold that. At least I won't be able to do it, obviously, now that I lost this one, turn 4 regardless, but still have some chances for turn 5, so we'll see what we can do. Going into bottom of round 4, Lumineth turn. All right, so bottom of round 4, Lumineth turn, pretty much just trying to set up the last turn of the game, not doing much here. The big thing is I wanted to get Speed of Hish off so I could push this Warden block 18 inches with a run of 6 to threaten this objective for the following turn. Now, I failed Speed of Hish, which really hurt. I was hoping to get kind of 2 turns of that, just to get lots of bodies and output. So didn't get it. And then thinking about this game, it's either I get all 4 on turn 5 now, or it comes down to a minor. If it comes down to a minor and we're tied on 2 objectives, it just comes down to battle points.
Yeah.
And at this point, I have the lead in battle points.
Yes, you do.
Unless you came one priority and came to kill those guys, If you do that though, I walk
yeah.
onto the objective. So
It's a minor either way.
yeah. So pretty much at this point, we can roll priority and probably just talk out the final stages of this game.
Yep.
So
I got a 1.
a 5. So finally got the turn 5 priority. So I think actually at this point,
might as well play it, right?
yeah, we'll have to jump into my turn because it will depend on this combat here, I think.
Yep.
So with that, we're looking at top of round 5 with Lumineth going first.
Yes, sir.
All right, so top of round 5, Lumineth turn, able to execute the plan, or the plan went as intended at least. Really the main thing was the charge and combat over here. Now I did have power fish off, so that made it way more consistent, reliable for me to take you out. Yeah, pretty much speed of hished the wardens to get them up, made a charge of 10, so between their 10-inch charge, 3-inch pylon, and 3-inch range, all of them were getting in combat, which was awesome. I had to spend my lone command point over here on my Cathlar to get them onto that objective. And then what I wanted to do was tag within 3 of this scenery piece, because that is my auxiliary objective, and also tag within 6 inches of the objective. I was a 1/4 inch out from being able to tag both. So obviously here, chose the objective because I will now control all 4.
Yeah.
And in the top of round 5, get the major win.
Yes.
Which was very close thing. I actually kind of talking about my last turn. We were having to talk about points because it really could have, there was an opportunity that this ended in a 2-2 tie on the objectives.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a slight lead in points, but if you had been able to take out these 2 guys, you would have been ahead of or above me by like 10. So I just had to keep them safe. But what do you think about the game?
It was good. Good learning experience for me, for sure. Jordan didn't bring 30 Sentinels, which was nice.
It's a friendly amount of Sentinels.
Yeah, friendly amount of Sentinels. Playing it through, so I brought Vostarg, so that's basically the movement lodge for the most part. I thought it was okay. I wanted to try it out to see how it would work in my tougher matchup. So let's say a Lumineth or a Seraphon, especially where I'm greater distance, so I'm not 18 away, where I'm actually like 24 away, so it's hard to get my units up. It was interesting to see what it did, but I'm mainly bringing it only for the +1 to charge. That's the main reason I'm bringing it, and I don't think that puts more value on it over Hermdar. In terms of just how things would have went, like Battle Shock over there, I wouldn't have had to take Battle Shock, and I wouldn't have had to worry about that at all. So it was a good learning experience for me. It was a fun game. It was interesting. It was back and forth for a little bit there, for sure. But yeah, it was a good time. I may have been able to do a few things differently, maybe pushing up a little bit more, not being so scared of the teleport, especially early on, because if you take it early on, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. I think I cared about that a little bit too much. Maybe pushing up would have been a lot more beneficial. But besides that, yeah, I thought it was a good and fun game. That was the first time I ever got to kill Teclis too, so I'm happy I was able to do that. Yeah,
and actually, so going on my turn 2, I knew actually leaving him there and piling in was a risk for the double. Mm-hmm. At the time, I'm like, okay, you have to win the double turn to be able to get into Teclis, and you have to get a huge charge to be able to get enough bodies on him to do the damage. So not a super long shot, but a couple things had to go right for that to work in your favor. So I left him there being in combat so he could get damage on those guys. But honestly, I didn't need it. I had the Wardens there. They were definitely going to clean up that unit no matter what. So I think that was a silly play on my part. I should have just put him a little more defensive. Even with his spells, I just got a little overeager, I think, in terms of wanting, the damage output and to take out all your stuff, all your heroes. But even doing that, I should have then moved Teclis, run him, be a little more defensive. Just you coming in here, even if you go into the Wardens, having Teclis, just is a game winner. By himself.
For sure.
Different opportunities. Obviously, Teclis does bring a ton of utility at the cost of one big body that's not the most resilient.
Yeah, even when I was going into it, it was funny. I was just like, okay, yeah, so you're 5-up save, right? Because I just thought he was base 3, but he is base 4.
Yeah.
Which I think is fair. I still think Teclis is definitely worth his points for sure. So it is nice that he's a tiny bit squishier, especially if he doesn't have protection of Teclis on him. So.
Yep, and I didn't, like you said, exactly that. I would have cast protection Teclis, but I wanted to finish off that hero in Magic, so it freed up my shooting. Mostly because that shooting isn't even reliable there. So you can't depend on that to do the last wound on 2s and 2s. You're doing it with one shot.
That low volume, right?
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can't be certain. It's very low, but you can't be certain.
Yeah, so the other thing really worth calling out in this match is looking at the priority mechanic. Now, obviously, we love the priority mechanic in terms of what it adds to this game. There are some other people out there, and I find a lot of newer players have a hard time adjusting to it. But just to illustrate what it did to this game, based on the turn 1,
I would have lost end of turn.
You would have lost. It would have been game over turn 1 if we keep order of priority.
Yeah.
The only reason that you had a chance to come back in this game was because you won priority in round 2 and gave it away. Not even taking it, you gave it away, setting yourself up for the potential double, which was, again, your one shot to get back in the game.
Exactly, which, as we mentioned before, led me into the Teclis. Yeah. And so without that, I wouldn't, over turn 1. There's nothing I could really do unless I got some just crazy lucky stuff, but really nothing I could have really
I can
done.
sit outside of ranges, I can always know and measure threat ranges in that, and it's just an easy, we can just talk out the game at that point.
Yeah.
We're here because of the priority mechanic and using it smartly like you did very well. This came down to round 5, right? Halfway through round 5 to get a conclusion to this game.
Yeah.
So obviously just a good example, I think, of showing off how much depth and how much it adds to the game. Again, the priority mechanic. Here, it's night and day. That's why when you hear it ever talked about, the competitive community always kind of runs out screaming about why it's so awesome, and it's hard to explain sometimes, but this is, I think, a good illustration of a game that was positively impacted in a matchup and a mission that otherwise could have gone really bad. Another free, long-winded rant for you guys, but I hope you did enjoy this match. It was a ton of fun to play. Great to see Fyreslayers again. They're a pretty honest army for the most part. They just like destruction, want to get in there and smash.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit more of a cheaper army, I would say. Not in terms of cost, but in terms of their play style. Against other melee factions, if I'm in Hermdar, borderline auto win.
Yep.
And that's the reason why.
If they can't get to your heroes.
Yeah. It was fun to bring them out. I was happy to bring out the Fyreslayers and get a new army on the channel again. So.
Yeah, for sure. And then just to finish things off, talking about auxiliary objectives, we kind of talked about it throughout the game. I would have gotten Assassinate by killing your one hero, and I would not have gotten Pillage because, again, an eighth of an inch out from that terrain piece.
Funny enough, I also failed the similar one, Seize Ground. I was not near there at the end of the 4th. But I would get my other one, which was Territorial, which was hold an objective for two turns consecutively, which I did there.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
Well, with that, just want to say a big thank you to everyone for watching again. Hope you enjoyed this. Extra big thank you to all our premium members who help make this channel possible in all respects, but also helping with things like making decisions, whether it's what armies we're playing, the new army vote, which is coming up very soon, maybe ongoing or even done by the time this video comes out. So hopefully we'll see it soon. But yeah, again, big thank you to everyone. Really appreciate all the support we've gotten. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and all that fun stuff. Should mention this at the start of videos, but getting it now. So that's it for now. We'll see you soon in another battle report.
Thanks, everyone.